Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video.
Yodel has gone public in admitting that they have challenges with capacity this peak. What does this mean for the company, and a little bit of context around that? Watch on to find out more.
Last Mile Profits is brought to you by Parcel Pending by Quadient.
Gary, peak quarter is always the moment when all the big e-commerce customers want you to scale up. You know, there've been examples where they're asking for 3, 4, 5 times more volume, and not all the carriers are coping. I read recently that, surprise, surprise, Yodel has been highlighted as one of the ones that has most issues, or at least this year has most issues. Have you got anything on this story?
The most interesting thing about this is that Yodel made this comment publicly. I think everybody sometimes has issues. I mean, I've had Amazon, in my career ask me for 8x, at very late notice. How many trailers? Can you give me 50 trailers tomorrow? This kind of question. They did ring the next day and cancel all 50, which was really kind of them. It is interesting that they publicly said to their clients, wrote to them and said, we're going to have struggle. Please, if you can, take your volume somewhere else, because we're going to have difficulty coping over the peak period. And I think it was either the same week or the week after they announced that they'd won a contract for 50 million parcels from one of the cheap Japanese importers. So it's very hard to tell what's going on. The price that they're probably able to get for those Chinese import products is extremely low. In normal times, Yodel has typically lost £1 a parcel. Now, I know Mike and Sam have done a fantastic job of driving up revenue and driving up price to get it back towards profitability. But telling your existing clients I might not be able to cope, and then, by the way, we're going to bring in 50 million cheap parcels from China. If I got that letter, I'd be a bit peeved. I don't know how you would feel.
But you know what? It's been a never-ending story of challenges, and I don't want to be too mean, but I think I'm going to say it, failures, because you remember it started with Home Delivery Network. They then took on board what was left of DHL's business in the UK, if I remember correctly, for £1 or something. Plus, I think DHL paid them something.
DHL gave them about a year of losses covered to take it off their hands, yeah.
But it didn't work. It was, in my view, this classic example of having one problem child, you add another problem child, and you get one big problem child. And, there was a moment around about 2 years ago where I got the feeling maybe they're turning the corner. But then again, recently, most of the stuff, and it's not just a question of this peak, but most of the material I've read says, well, look, it doesn't seem to be going as well as they might have hoped. So is Yodel savable?
Well, I think that they made a profit in the COVID year, 20 to 21. They say a high enough tide will refloat pretty much any boat. So there was a very high tide of volume that came through the market in 2021. So I think everybody had a bumper year. And then it dropped back, 23, 22 and definitely 23 were lower volumes. I talked to all the carriers all the time. All of them saw challenges of keeping volume. They poured a lot of concrete, they put a lot of infrastructure in, and then the volumes receded very slightly. Now, if you want to be positive, I understand 2024 looks okay. There's going to be an increase compared to 2023, and we're probably back to where we were, getting towards back where we were in COVID time. So it should help everybody. But as you say, there have been long-term structural problems at Yodel, which I genuinely hope that they fixed. But that letter, combined with we're bringing cheap parcels from China, it's conflicting information. I don't get it.
Well, the only thing that I can imagine is that the Chinese parcels were part of something more long-term, and the Chinese agreed to very, very lenient, shall we say, delivery times. But I've got one other question. As we are talking about Yodel, if I remember correctly, PayPoint invested, was it 80 million or something not so long ago? Do you see, and the reason I'm asking, because I know that you spent several years with Collect Plus, can you see any constellation in which somehow those two networks come closer together again, the Collect Plus and Yodel, or was that?
Well, there was initial investment of 10 million, which was publicly announced. And I believe they made a further investment, took a stake. That was a kind of rescue package, if you like. Now I understand they've taken the stake. They are coming together. I mean, Collect Plus is a relatively small part of the PayPoint overall cash business, with their terminals and bill payments and all the other good stuff they do. They're a business based around cash, in effect, and the Collect Plus business was an add-on on the side. They bought it out of the joint venture into PayPoint. Maybe the answer is it's going to move in the opposite direction one day. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But it is curious.
So I think let's observe, because most of PayPoint's business, I'd say, is becoming a legacy business because money transfer is happening in different ways now. So, let's observe it could be a reverse engineered process.
Well, they're doing something right because their shares have gone up. So when the shares were down to £5 or so not long after I left, my departure was not related to their share price tanking to £5. I hasten to add, but they're back up to sort of £8-ish, which is above where it was when I left them 5 years ago. So something's going right at PayPoint, or the market feels something's going right. They've re-entered the FTSE 250, so maybe this is a winning strategy of them getting closer to Yodel, and the market seems to like the stake they've taken. Who knows?
So, Gary, question that we're going to have to look at is, what's going to happen? Will PayPoint go into the last mile big time? So far, looks like the sort of initial forays they've made have been good for them. Time will tell. If anyone has any comments, then please add them below. And traditionally, if you've enjoyed the video, please press like and subscribe. And Gary, looking forward to a next video on another scintillating topic.
Me too.
Last Mile Profits is brought to you by Parcel Pending by Quadient.